All right, welcome to January's community chat. We are here to talk about this theme, this quarter's theme, which is the Vanguard theme. It's about people or a group of people that are leading the way in new developments or ideas in our African community. And so we're going to introduce ourselves. I'm going to start off with Ijoma, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Idrama. I'm from Washington, D.C. I'm here in Washington, D.C. I go to school here at the George Washington University, and I'm Nigerian. Uh, that's about it.
All right.
Hi, my name is Khair. I am 21 and I'm from Perth, Western Australia, studying nursing at Curtin University.
Awesome. Hi, Marilyn. Marilyn, can you hear us? All right, maybe she can't hear us, and I'm Dina. I live in Iowa, and I am originally born in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And so we'll be having people join. We've been having some technical difficulties, but people will be joining as we go through. So as they join, we'll just continue on with our conversation for this theme. So the first thing we want to talk about is really around who are the individuals who are pushing the envelope today? Who are the people in the community that are doing things that are advancing the community or advancing us as a people? And so really looking at what is the definition of an African trailblazer? Is it local, is it national, is it continental, or are they having a global impact? And really looking at how Africans and those in the diaspora are succeeding in non-conventional ways. And so we'll start with Ijoma.
I guess I don't. Well, I don't know the names of all of these people. I know I read an article about one, but when I think of an African trailblazer, I think of somebody who gives of themselves or takes a risk to protect people who are from the continent or contribute to the advancement of the continent of Africa. So I think of a lot of the local doctors and people who are natives to the countries that were affected by the Ebola epidemic last year, people who weren't Western help from whatever country, people who really did give back to their communities and save lives, even though that meant sometimes giving up their own. I think of them as trailblazers. Trailblazers not in the sense that they're doing something innovative or I just think that pushing the envelope it can also be seen as going the extra mile to really give back and really fight for the health and well-being of fellow Africans.
Okay.
I agree, true. As you almost said, I don't really know the names of a lot of people, but I was thinking when I heard of the question, I was thinking for like the Somali community in particular, Didier Usman, or even like Africans in general, just being a queer African who is, I guess, kind of putting himself in the limelight and not hiding away from his sexuality, and I guess, and speaking about it and starting like that discourse on it was, yeah, so he came to mind, especially like, you know, being, I don't know, where Africans are, we're kind of a little bit more conservative and stuff. We don't, when it comes to like sexuality and stuff, and homosexuality is not like this thing that we really embrace or like to talk about much. So yeah, so like what he's doing and he's, you know, the book that he's published and stuff. So yeah, Didi Osman did come to mind for me.
That's interesting because I think we often see Africans getting recognition for sports or for arts or for music and things like that, and that really just shows that, you know, here's someone just having conversation in the community and having an impact on it, having conversations that we don't normally have. And so how do you think, in terms of non-conventional ways that Africans are recognized, do you see that? Who do you think would even stand out, or what arena would they be in to get recognition? Like, I guess when I think about it, I don't see a lot of African professors getting recognized. Like, I wouldn't be able to name anybody unless it's someone I knew from my own university. I don't see a lot of African architectures getting recognized. In the medical field, it's kind of like one of those things you don't see a lot. What do you think, Ijoma?
I think so. Recognition is important, but I really think the reason why certain people are being recognized, and also certain people are being recognized for certain things. There are African athletes who do give back to their communities, but they're not being recognized for giving back to their communities. So I think that goes along with people wanting to see Africans either as charity cases or comedic relief or some sort of entertainment, and not as complex human beings from different places with different experiences. I think most of the time when people get recognition, it's especially more so for the arts I've seen than athletics, but it's mostly because they fit some kind of aesthetic. And it's really objectifying, to be honest. But I don't think the recognition is coming from a place where someone's actually saying they're recognizing you because you're good at doing something. People aren't being recognized because of their talent or their intelligence, but rather how much they fit into a certain categorization of being objectified. So, yeah, that's what I think.
All right. Hi, Vincent. Can we have you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Sorry for being late. My name is Vincent Chukwuemeka from Nigeria. Born in Cameroon, raised in Cameroon. Went to school in Cameroon and then in the United States, and I live in Iowa.
All right. So we're talking about what it means to be an African trailblazer, and really what are the parameters that make people recognize in our community in terms of what works they're doing. And so in your view, how is credibility determined? Whose voices, whose efforts matter the most?
I mean, I think everyone's voice is kind of everybody kind of have a voice. Now, matter the most is actually it's kind of a loaded phrase, which I don't think I really know how to define who matters the most. But for the sake of what we are right now, every single thing which you are doing matters kind of generally, whether you are working towards a public health degree or a public health master's degree, whether you are a marketing person or whatever you are. For example, Ezibota itself, what you guys are doing. But when we are talking about those people who are doing something which is different from what everybody did and making a new kind of stuff, like a new brand or a new something, then I would say those artists out there who are bringing back the African culture in their artwork, as per writing, tangible stuff like crafts and stuff like that, or people are coming out with different ways of selling out the African identity, from clothes to goods that are different, apart from all the cash crop and all of the oil that Africa has and every other thing we have. But those people who are doing something different to sell out the African identity right now, I think that's, to me, these are the trailblazers right now. Those people doing something different to bring out our identity, to make us look different, to make us look like what we are or what we should be at this particular moment.
Trailblazer, I think of somebody who
yeah, that's all that.
Hey, finally.
Hi, Marilyn.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, wow, that's a cold shower.
That's how we do it.
Yeah. So, hi, my name is Marilyn Nanga. I'm from Cameroon, French part. I live in Nashville. I'm doing business administration bachelor double degree. So, I've been in France 4 years, and now it's my last year. And maybe I will do a master's degree in business analytics. I don't know. I'm not sure. I have a baby. She's sleeping now. Maybe you will see her.
We saw her
That's
last
me.
time. She's so cute.
Yeah. Oh, she's a grown little toddler now.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So we're going to continue the conversation. What do you guys think about what factors hinder potential Africans from maybe wanting to trail the blaze in a sense? We start with Umukhayat.
Um, I would say like I guess just kind of for me personally, um, for example, as a Somali or just like as an African, we have like very rich cultures. We have dance, music, and all that kind of stuff. But also part of being a Somali largely is being Muslim, right? So for me, something that would kind of like hinder, going forward and trailblazing and stuff is trying to reconcile kind of religious beliefs and what is too much, what is too I don't know, let's say for example all the hype around Nicki Minaj and for example her song like Anaconda, right? That like it's too promiscuous, it's too this, it's too that. So kind of having to toe the line between what's um, what are you, I don't know, putting forth as an African, and what is your talent and stuff, and what is too much for your community. When do they start saying that, oh no, you're shaming us, so that kind of stuff. So I think we have like really strong upbringings and stuff, and sometimes the way that we want to honor our background is not really welcomed by our communities. I don't know if that makes any sense. I feel like I'm ranting right now, but um, yeah.
I think it makes sense to me, especially when you said about the shaming piece. I think we've all heard, don't shame the family, don't shame your community, you're
Yeah.
shaming your parents and those type of things. Marilyn, how do you think shame plays a factor in people doing things that are unconventional in our communities?
Can you repeat?
How do you think shame or the fear of shame hinders people from doing things that are unconventional or could be great things but just never get there?
I think this is a personal question. Like, it's individual. I don't know. Every culture is different, so you cannot just bring something that comes from another culture in yours. It will not be welcome for sure. But it depends because the world is growing, people are growing, mindset change. There is a mix of culture actually, but you cannot bring everything in your culture just like that and say it works there, it should work in my in my community. That doesn't work like that because people have values. They have things that they cherish more than others. So I think, yeah, people have to be ashamed of doing a certain number of things in their community that they are not ashamed to do in another community. But if it's something that can empower the population, that can contribute to the economic or human development of your community, that should be great. You don't have to have any fear or anything. It becomes more psychological, you have to work in the person and to know why is it, maybe the person is just shy or but if it's a matter of value, I think it's better not to bring, to be well aware about how the community can welcome your behaviors and your acts. Like you have a business, when you have a brand, you cannot just bring your brand everywhere, you know. Like you have to change the name, you have to adapt your product to where you're going through. So that's what I'm thinking about.
Okay. I just want to say now that if there's any questions or comments, we do have our questions and answer feature up. So if you have any questions or anything you want to add to the conversation, there are 4 people watching right now. So if you want to join into the conversation, please feel free to do so. Ijoma, what do you think about hindering African trailblazers in our communities?
I think in one sense, it's always a very scary experience trying to put something new out there. But I think we have to also keep in mind that culture is very malleable. So what a lot of people think is culture. I mean, I grew up with parents, like, they know how to speak English, but like English isn't their first language, right? So some things get lost in translation. They could say culture but really mean moral values. They could say culture but really mean dress, right? But you know what they mean because you've lived with them. Other people might not understand these kind of multiple meanings. For instance, like, your culture, where you come from, might not like your hair natural, right? Might not like your hair in a fro. But that's not inherent in the place you come from. That's a product of colonization. That's why people don't like this kind of hair, right? So you can't really say it's your culture because it's something that has impacted the people you come from. Does that make sense? Like straight hair, this is not my culture. This isn't. But people who are Igbo might not like my hair in a fro, right? But on the other hand, something that's too foreign to people, like, how do I explain this? I don't know. Say if you had an African who snowboarded, right? Like, and it's a real sport. It's an Olympic sport, and that's great. But that's not exactly people's culture where we come from. To want to snowboard, even though you know that'd be a great accomplishment if you were really good at it. It's very hard to have other Africans tie onto your brand, even though what you're doing is good, but doesn't really follow along the lines of what we traditionally do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Either way it goes, I don't think you should let it discourage you as someone who's trying to be innovative or trying to be an entrepreneur or a writer from putting out your work. I think it's very important to try anyway. It is difficult, and it can be difficult, but it's worth trying because cultures can change.
Yeah, so what I hear kind of is, okay, people want to maybe trail the blazer, try different things, but culture is limiting. And so when we see what's on TV and who's being recognized, in my mind, they somehow still fit into the culture of what people want them to be. So an African person wanting to snowboard, like, people are gonna obviously resist against that. So don't you think it would be in this person's mind very hard for him to gain, if you can't gain support of your own community, how easy is it to gain support of those outside your community? And I think that would hinder me to be like, wow, look, people who are supposed to understand me don't even get it, and they're not even supporting me. So
how do I explain this? I think it's actually the opposite. Like, I think there are certain people who are African who we might think are famous that, like, their cultures might not really, not accept them, but not champion them, and then another culture does, and they just tag along. I think it happens the opposite way. I think people are comfortable with being, like, the awesome token African in a non-African space, and then once they hit it big, like, their community's like, we always love them. Like,
right.
I think it can happen the other way around.
Yeah. We had a question come in, Ijoma, that said, what's acceptable hair in the Igbo culture?
I'm not talking about in Igbo culture. I'm talking about amongst people. People were, like, Igbo people were colonized by the British. And so, like, European standards of beauty are a huge issue in that community. You'd really be lying if you never saw your mom with bleaching cream or you never saw your aunt with bleaching cream. So this is not a new concept. Certain people are more acceptable of straight hair or braids than they are of natural hair. If you are an Igbo or just a West African woman recently in like the past 4 or 5 years and you've gone natural, you've experienced this from your parents, even though you're African, this kind of blowback of what are you going to do with your hair, of them not really accepting your natural hair. It's not a new concept, and it's not something that's inherent in our culture. It's common amongst our people, which is very different.
Okay. All right. So in terms of the second talking point in looking at lost in translation, I'll pass the ball to Ijoma.
Okay. So in the modern internet age, there seems to be this issue of voices drowning out voices. So right now, so what do you guys think about the oversaturation of African voices on the internet? Does this oversaturation on the internet make it difficult for people to identify as young trailblazers? For example, Vincent, I think you mentioned something like clothing design or artwork. There are a lot of African clothing designers and a lot of African authors and etc. A lot of Africans in the art space. Do you think that makes it very difficult for someone new to come in and do something innovative? That's what the question is referencing in terms of oversaturation. What do you guys think?
Let me jump in real quick. No disrespect to the ladies, but let me just say, for what I think is, I mean, the way you put the question, I believe there's this particular concept in economics, sorry, called what's that thing again? Oh, it just skipped my mind. Economies of scale. So technically, I'm going to use it in a very weird way. But economies of scale in a light is when industries or companies or firms or producing firms or any producing house, they find themselves in a particular locality, in a particular place. For example, industries find themselves in, for example, New York, and there's a lot of industries, a lot of African designers in one place. Now, that means that anybody who is going to sell material, Ankara material around that place, anybody is going to sell, lining, or the cotton or any other thing they're selling to put into those material, is going to sell at a very, a cheaper price than somebody who is selling to one person in Minnesota. That's just an example. So, in the way I look at it is, I don't think the oversaturation of this particular arts were going around, a lot of them coming out, and every single day, I mean, I for one, I'm jumping in, I'm trying to do the poetry thing, all of that stuff. I don't think it's a bad thing. In the way I see it, I think it's the voice of a people who have understood that there is that need for it out there. You understand? And I've never seen the issue with it that it should be over out there. You understand? So, I mean, at the end of the day, as a consumer, you're going to choose what you want, and what is going to appeal to you more is what appeals to your values at a particular point, because your principle, or maybe, as you said it, a lady like yourself, a lady like any of the ladies on this platform right now may want to go natural. They may say, one of my 2015 goals is to go natural. That means anybody who is selling products or who is having a YouTube channel or anybody who is selling products that are going to tell you how to keep your hair natural and beautiful is going to be selling at that particular point. You understand? So that means at the end of the day, you still find something which you want to get, and you identify yourself to that particular thing. It could be that many people, or 60,000 plus people who are actually linked up to Ezibota, are looking for something, for an African identity, and they are with that thing. You understand? And some other people may need some other thing which is in another platform. You understand? So I think we as a people have been held back a lot, that we have realized that we could actually use the same avenues to bring out ourselves, to show ourselves. But then the issue equally falls back to the fact that they may be liars in these so many truths that are around there. You understand? And I'm sure I'm using a very, very deep word, liar. I'm calling some people liars. Some people are, but what I just mean, I'm sure you understand what I mean. What I just mean is some people who are, they have misplaced priorities. Like, I think there are certain things you see and you ask yourself, why is this person doing this? You understand? Or maybe somebody starts something and it doesn't go anywhere. Not that I'm saying that somebody's stuff would not go anywhere, but what I'm just saying is, equally in that very general whole of a lot of people coming out with different stuff, there would be equally people who are going to come out with stuff which maybe they shouldn't be doing. And in that same way, that same whole of those many wonderful people doing wonderful things would bring out that one person which we are looking for. You get what I mean? I'm sure around when Facebook was going to pop up and Mark was going to do what he's doing, there were other people thinking of that same idea of connecting people. There had been other ways of doing it. Other people had come up with the idea, but it was not as well organized as what Mark had or what he stole from somebody else or whatever way we actually have to put the Facebook thing that came up. But it's just the fact that I think other people kind of help other people to get better. You understand? So somebody may see you, some kid who is 15 years old may see Joma doing her stuff, watch your YouTube videos, see your book in a very not distant future, and be inspired. So at the end of the day, I think the market itself, or not the market, but kind of the whole of everybody being there is kind of inspiring other people to come up, and it actually helps up when it comes to continuity, because at the end of the day, it's not about being one person coming up and the whole idea of African art or African identity dies. It's about continuity. It's about subsistence.
Sustainability.
Something. Yeah. I think that's the word I was looking for.
Anybody else?
I was gonna say, like, I agree. I think it's great that there's just, I feel like oversaturation. You may not be able to find, the trailblazers, but at the same time, like, just the fact that there is a oversaturation, that there is so much out there, or so many people out there, and so much that they are, I don't know, so much talent that they're sharing with us, and yeah, I think it's a great thing. I think, and I think instead of seeing it in like a bad way, I think it would, I don't know, if kind of be better to kind of see it as an opportunity to form a community out of that, and to be able to have collaborations and stuff like that, just to make it even better. Yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Thank you.
I would like to add something. I would like to add something about what Vincent said, is that when you do something, I think everybody would like to do something to empower his community, to share what's community life or the values of his community. But what we have to do now is we have to do it well, because everybody have access to blogs. Everybody wants to have a blog. I do have a blog too. And the fact is that there is a French say when you have bakeries everywhere in the same place, everybody will eat his own bread. You know what it means is that if everybody has a blog, who's gonna read the other's one blog? Nobody will care about your blog, because everybody wants people to come visit his blog. And I think, for example, if Vincent and we share same ideas, same opinions, same point of view, we can connect and create something real. Not just having blogs or things. If we decide to share information, we have to do it well. There is a lot of internet CEOs. I cannot count them. Like, it's crazy. On Twitter, you see bio, they are all CEOs there. And CEOs of what? Of fashion blogs. That sucks, really. Now, if you have to share information about, even if it's about fashion, if you know fashion is good, if you know music is good, but we have to do it well. We have like TMZ. TMZ at the first time it was a blog. Nobody cared about TMZ. Now TMZ is big because they did it well. That's what we have to do now.
They got tipped well. That's what they did.
Yeah, they got tipped well. They got actually lucky. That's the only reason why they're successful. They got lucky. It was crazy.
I think that oversaturation may oversaturation may not be the issue. I think kind of like what Marilyn is saying, where if we each have our own thing, then where's the collaboration? Where's the connection? But also just knowing that some people are going to buy in to the let me water myself down to be part of this oversaturation. You may be a very intelligent human being, but what will you do? You'll do the gossip writing or the gossip columns because it's going to get you out there. So I just think that everyone has their opinion, and we know that. But the thing is, everyone has an opinion on just having an opinion just to have an opinion. I just feel like that to me is where the negative of oversaturation is because today I may feel like, oh, I'm an expert on Ijoma cannot wear this type of shirt because why would she wear this type of shirt? Because I don't like this type of shirt, and I've seen other Igbo women wear this type of shirt, and it's not good, and it's ruining our community. You know what I mean? It's just like I have an opinion, and I know I do, and I just have elevated this simple fact that I have an opinion just so I can have something to say. So I think that to me is what it is it's a fine line between respecting that everyone has an opinion and people just saying things to have something to say. And I think that is the issue sometimes. And so how can I recognize the good that's happening in my community when more often than not, there's too many people just having an opinion to have an opinion that you can't even see the people who actually have something of value to say underneath, who probably won't say anything because these are the people who want to formulate their arguments and make sure their sources are right and that they're coming from the right place with their opinions. Because all you hear is the people will talk about anything and have no, I don't know, real substance to it. And so I think that gets lost in people who they know, like I know I'm an expert in X, but I feel like I don't need to say it because who do I need to prove this to? I don't. So you kind of keep it to yourself instead of having to feel like, let me fall into this whole stream of everybody's talking about this and now I'm part of this argument and now people are attacking your opinion and they don't know you and they're attacking you and all. I don't know. So I think that's what when I see oversaturation, I think it's dealing mostly with that, is figuring out who's just talking versus who's really thinking and thinking critically about what they're talking about.
I think you guys gave really great responses. I wasn't expecting those. I agree with really all of you. You touched on great points. I'm basically half and half between Dina and Mukhair. I said it right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I did. Close enough. But I think it's good to have spaces where people are creating things, especially online, because it does serve as a good vehicle for community building, and I think that's really important. But at the same time, all of that is for nothing when what Dina said happens. So often people will just do gossip blogs, or they'll do a fashion blog that's not rooted in any kind of substance. And then what it becomes is an oversaturation of people with no substance. I don't know if anyone notices on the internet now, like sometimes you can dismantle one stereotype and create another. So like I think sometimes with Africans we're dismantling old African stereotypes, but in exchange for trying to get on or trying to become famous, we could contribute to building new African stereotypes that are just as harmful. So I think it's something people have to be careful of when they try to contribute something. And also what Marilyn said, you know, being able to do something well. At the end of the day, the person who's going to make the most money is someone who's going to do something of the highest quality. So I think that's something people need to take into consideration too. So closing out this talking point, there are a lot of existing platforms that currently highlight African trailblazers. So what do you guys think are some credible platforms that are currently highlighting these young African trailblazers? Anybody can.
Well, I
Um,
would like to start, and I would like to start by saying that they are credible. There is a there is a space, I don't remember, Face to Face Africa. I don't know if it's that.
Yeah, yeah, I remember
face
They
to
that.
face.
they have had a sort of conference in 2013 during the summer. I was there with my husband. He was my fiance, and I really liked it. They gave pricing to African entrepreneurs in America, and I really appreciate that. But I went on the website and I tried to check what they're doing. And what I saw is that I'm sorry if they're watching me, but what
Uh-oh.
I found is that they're kind of selfish because what push people having blogs here and there is that they want to talk, they want to say, they want to share their opinion, they want to write to write, they want to share how, like Vincent, they want to write poems and everything, but they don't have the space for that. They want to be, it's not really to be famous, but it's sometimes when you can do something, we want some recognition of that. And kind of space like that, they should allow people to contribute writing in the space, in the pages, to write articles, to show their poems, their videos, and stuff like that. And I really didn't appreciate that on a lot of those credible pages. They're just talking about people that has succeeded already. They not really care. They don't really care about us because I consider myself like people who wants to have a light. I'm still looking for my star. I don't know where I'm gonna be, what I'm gonna be tomorrow, where I'm gonna be, what I'm gonna do. But I know something is that I can do something, and sometimes when I want to do that, I can't find my place. Like I told you last time, I wanted to open a website, but my husband told me that we should not just open a website just because you don't want to have a blog like everyone. And he was so right. He asked me to write, to ask in a page where I can give them some article. I write, I share my opinion and give them, can publish and not put my name, I don't care. But that's what I'm gonna do now. And it's good if we can have more pages that allow us to do that. You see what I mean? Not just going on Facebook pages and sharing opinion with other and that become a fight. Because that's what happened on most of these pages. People just start to insult each other. I do that myself when I'm bored. I'm telling you, I just go on these pages, give a bad opinion just to fight because sometimes it's good. So that's what I want to tell.
I think I follow, I mean, besides Ezibota, which, I'm a firm believer that we really do want to, our space is for people to contribute and to write and really have really good content. But besides from Ezibota platform, I do follow a lot of African blogs because I want to kind of see, what are the different ones out there. And just on the top of my head, a couple that stand out are Diaspora Darlings and Afrotorial. They're two that I really like, and I can put it in the chat. But I like them because their website is clean cut, and they do a lot of showcasing names that you haven't heard of. Because my thing is, if you only talk about names that we hear of, trust me, I also see it on. If I turn my TV on, those are the same names I'm also going to see. Those are the same names that Western world media is talking about also. Not saying that they can't be talked about, but all I'm saying is that they're already there. They're already known. It's cool. Well, whatever. But I feel like when I'm on these other websites where I can learn about a new artist that's doing a different type of art, or their Instagram is a great place for that. Outside of blogs, Instagram is a great place. I think that I've seen a lot of Africans doing things and showcasing themselves. So if no one else can do it for you, then you can do it for yourself. But definitely Diaspora Darlings and the Afrotorial. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, great. Thank you. So I guess in my opinion, there are some websites that do provide resources. It's just that maybe a lot of people don't know about them. So I think the trade-off that people like about social media is that all you have to do is be a part of this bigger system. You have to be a part of Facebook, be a part of Twitter, be a part of Instagram. And I think, Vincent, you referenced economics before, but you're right, it's a very actually helpful way to understand or put our conversation now. There is no barrier to access to social media websites. You can just build a business off of a website everyone already knows instead of creating your own. But the issue is, in terms of credibility, it's very difficult to build credibility on those sites alone because, like we've said before, everybody's just there, right? It's very difficult to build credibility on Twitter, especially because anyone can make a Twitter page and talk about anything they want. So, yeah, those are really good observations and really good kinds of ways to close out our discussion. So to conclude, what new generation of African trailblazer has most impacted your life? So does anyone here have one person in mind or a group of people in mind that have really impacted you in your profession or in your personal life with what they've been able to accomplish or innovate in?
That's a good question. I think I'll just mention someone who I just recently met through a friend. Her name is Juliana, and I don't know the last name right now, but she's a researcher at a university, and her focus, if I remember correctly, is around agriculture and using social psychology and agriculture for Africa, and she's from Cameroon. But that's her study is around that. But recently just met her, and I think it's not someone I've known for a long time, but when I meet people or see people doing things that maybe you typically don't see, because it's about land reform in Cameroon and looking at that, it just like it excites me to see that, wow, this is someone who's taking the time to get a PhD in something that she's going to go back home to and change something in her community about. And she's also like a trailblazer in terms of telling me about her history on, being the youngest woman teacher, something about the school she managed, her father's school back home, and just the little things that she was doing back home and being a trailblazer on, and just coming to the U.S. and she has a family back home and being a trailblazer in terms of showing to me, her kids and her family, that I have a dream, I want to do this thing, I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to impact the community. So to me, those people that you meet day to day, that to nobody else would have a name, to nobody else would have a face, those are the people that to me impact, because it just motivates me to see that, okay, here's somebody that understands the importance of community and understands the importance of connecting, and they're doing it maybe not in a way that I'm doing it or in a way that I would do it, but they're doing it in the way that they're doing it in. And so, I think she was the first person that came to my mind in terms of someone I recently met. And just, you get good vibes from people, so it was a good vibe. And, it's definitely something that I think she's going to do great things when she goes back to Cameroon with. Don't be shy.
Yeah, let me go. But before I go, all of you know Alfresco, right?
Yes, our man
Okay.
Alfresco.
Yeah, Alfresco said I should tell you guys this. I'm just going to read. I hope my accent doesn't actually spoil it. But but he said this. He said, by the way, please tell the group being a Vanguard is about creating a safe haven for others where you are at. So I'm sure he was just, let me just buy into what he's saying. And I'm sure, I've spoken with Alfresco, and we have spoken about certain things which kind of pinpoints who we actually see as trailblazers today or vanguards today. And I would definitely just go with the African woman. Now it could be anyone, it could be any type of African woman or anything, but the African woman to me is a trailblazer, has always been, because think about it. I grew up with a mom who thought I was a girl in her head. I'm sure she thought I was a girl, because there are things she taught me which I think I would not say that it was not supposed to be for men, but I'm sure it was supposed to be for every child in the house. But you know, I grew up with a wonderful woman who was my mom, who is my mom, and she's a strong woman. And I mean, for my example, to the example of my aunts, to my sisters, to everybody I know is an African woman. To me, I think the African woman is actually the trailblazer today, and has always been that, because it's not easy to be one. You understand? I've seen many go through a lot of things, and I mean, it's just to applaud them. And this is equally coming from my friend Alfresco. So these two guys talking about the same thing. So that's mine, short and simple. Thanks.
Awesome. Marilyn wants to say somebody. She's thinking.
I'm not thinking. I'm happy to hear what Vincent said, because I'm such an African feminist that I just like what you say. Actually, I can't say there is a generation that particularly inspires me. I don't know. What inspires me is people's experience, you know, like I've seen a lot of Oprah's interview, and where she comes from, the period she has decided to do something of herself, the show and all that stuff, people telling her that she can never be something. I think it's just the experience. I don't know her, you know, I don't know her personally to say like Oprah inspires me, because maybe she has behaviors that I really hate. But her professional experience kind of inspires me. Yeah, I don't really have a particular. I have an ideal person of who I want to be, who I want to look like, you know. But I'm inspired by my ideal in my mind, you know. The kind of life I want to have. That's what inspires me. The kind of person I want to be. But there's nobody really that really inspires me. No. Maybe my mother, but not really. She's 20% inspiring. I'm sorry, Mom, but I really love you, but there's something missing.
Okay.
Okay, Claire.
I was thinking so hard about this. I'm like trying to think like, who do I think is a trailblazer? To be honest, I'm gonna say Watson Shida. Watson Shida, I'm not sure if you know of her. She is a Somali Kenyan.
That's how you pronounce her name.
Yeah, the right way.
I'm so happy
No,
that you
teachers tell me it right, because I just called her Warshawn.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry to interrupt you. But, like, I love her too, but I was like, that's okay. Thank you so much.
Watson Shida, yeah. Yeah, I guess like just being like a Somali Kenyan like immigrant to England, and then her poetry and teaching my mother how to give birth, and just watching how it kind of like just took off all over Tumblr and Twitter and like just the whole internet and stuff. Yeah, and the themes that she writes about you know, girlhood, you know, black girlhood, and motherhood, and about being vulnerable and allowing, you know, like, you know, embracing your emotions and love and being a refugee, like all of that stuff, and then just all the, I don't know, just how she's so, like, you know, everyone like kind of knows her now, do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's so exciting for me because I love her. Maybe I'm just like fangirling right now.
No, you're being normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'm actually upset right now because I had a copy of Teaching My Mother How to Give Birth and it's missing. I have no idea where it is, and I'm really sad. I'm probably going to buy another one. But, yeah. So Watson Shida is a
Nice
trailblazer for me, and she needs to like come out and drop some new stuff and be like Frank Ocean. She needs to just like come
He
back
is a
out.
Frank Ocean.
Yes, she needs to come back.
He is an African Frank Ocean. Like when?
Yeah.
No.
And Ijoma, what about for you?
I was actually gonna say. Something similar to what Vincent said. I think it's for me the trailblazers are African women who are doing something that's not in arts, that's not athletics, but still is really powerful and has an impact on the entire diaspora. So, Dina, the young lady you met who does, you said social psychology and agriculture.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know a lot of African women in law school, a lot of African women who are really doing very creative. You would think they were artists, but they're really doing very creative things here in America in terms of their academic preparation to be able to be prepared to give back to the countries they came from. And I think that's really remarkable. There are too many of them to name, but I think it's worth recognizing all of them. So.
Great. All right. Well, that's what we have for today. Thank you for everyone who joined us. And as always, these are held monthly, the last Saturday of the month, the same time, 12 Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And so we'll see you next month. This concludes the chat.